Extra Point. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. My name is Lauro Antonio here. With me is Ben Curse. And the MI6 Sports Network, as you all know, is back in running programs beginning today. And we have Wild Sports Talk tomorrow, which we'll talk about that on our final thoughts as well. So, Ben, how's it going today, my man?
Doing good, man. Hope you had a great weekend, like we talked yesterday. But I hope you enjoyed some football and the weekend. It felt like the Thanksgiving weekend was kind of a lot. I'm not sure if that me. I mean, I was working a lot on the weekend, so kind of honestly, it felt on to me. But I felt like I was just working just nonstop a lot of the weekend, and I'll have some time off a bit here in the next couple of days, so it'll feel nice. To give myself a little bit of break here, but hope all is well. Hope you're doing well, man, and looking forward to talking some football. A lot of good games today, and obviously we have more tomorrow night for Monday Night Football.
Yes, we do. So, anyways, let's talk about the Patriots and Titans game. Talk about the Patriots playing really good football and taking advantage of this shorthanded Titans team on offense. And on defense, the Patriots were unbelievable in getting to the quarterback in Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, this was a game where it was kind of a tale of two halves, right? The first half, I thought the Titans really battled. They had, like I told you last night, Laura, it was going to come down to execution, right? And it was going to come down to the turnover battle. And we saw today that the Titans had to play a more clear, near perfect game to possibly upset the Pats. And they had a bunch of good drives going together. The Patriots today, Laura, for some odd reason, the one thing I do had a hard time with was them stopping the run. I thought they really had a hard time a lot of the game stopping the run without Derrick Henry. I don't know what it was. They've been great against the run the last couple games, but it didn't turn out to be the reason, at all why they lost. They just had a hard time. I mean, that when they that Hilliard guy between Hilliard and Foreman, they combined. Hilliard had 12 carries for 131 yards and a touchdown. He obviously had that big long 60-plus yard run for the score, which let the Titans kind of hang around before the half, and then Folk missed the field goal, and you're thinking, oh man, this could be a dogfight. And then the Patriots, they had a lot of drives where they had the offense looked great. Mac Jones was awesome. They just couldn't finish them. And Nick Folk obviously was huge today. Obviously, we'll go to the third players of the game, and Nick Folk was a big, big one today, if not almost every week, but he was a big, crucial one today. But we saw some contributions from other guys today. And obviously, the running game for the Pats actually did not have their best game, but the Titans, like I said yesterday, Lowell, their best attribute is their run defense, if anything. They had to really win by their defense, and they were able to kind of, for a good first half, to really kind of keep the Patriots kind of, I would say, in check for a bit. But then in the second half, Patriots took it on to another level, outscoring the Titans 20-0 in the second half. And the final score, Patriots 36 and Tennessee 13. And Lauro, I mean, this is what you got to do against a short-handed team. They let them hit around at least for the first half, and you're thinking, well, when can they start to maybe break through a little bit? And one second. Sorry about that. I'm on the box score for the Titans Pats, and there was a highlight that happened while I was talking. So sorry about that. I'll get back in terms of what I was saying now. But the running game, Stevenson and Harris didn't have too much. I mean, Harris had that game. I was a game clinch. And at the time, the game was kind of over, but he had that clincher running touchdown to finish off the end. But how about the receiving core? I mean, let's just say this, though. They don't have a crazy, skilled, top tier weapon like an Allen Robinson or a Chris Godwin type. But the thing I'm liking really about the Patriots and their receiving game is Mac Jones is now able to start to spread the ball out to a bunch of different guys. Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne. I mean, Kendrick Bourne, he's been one of my favorite guys with this team. I mean, he brings a lot of character, a lot of energy. I think that he just didn't really get a whole lot of chances in San Francisco, and he's playing a lot, and he's skilled, and he's great after the catch. And him and Mac Jones this offseason had great chemistry going, and so I think they really kind of fell off of that. in this game. Bourne had 5 receptions for 61 yards, 12.2 average yards a catch, and 2 touchdowns, including the second touchdown was just an incredible touchdown where he caught it and he basically split like 2 or 3 defenders and tipped it all the way to the end zone. That was an crazy one. And the first one he had was in the back of the end zone on a contested ball that Mac threw right on the button, and that was a great catch. And the tight end game was great too. Henry only had 2 catches, but Jonnu Smith, I thought, with only 3 catches, but he made a lot of great plays today. Jonnu Smith looked really good out there. 3 catches for 49 yards, 16.3 average yards a catch. And yeah, I mean, I wish Jonnu could, give more to you, but hey, I'll take that. If he was able to make some big plays, he made some big plays on some drives where they scored some points. That's what I want to see from a guy like Jonnu Smith. Now let's look over Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill, right? Tannehill, like I said, Lauro, if he's without his top 2 weapons, he's a product type guy. I'm not saying he doesn't scare me, but in pastures with the Patriots, Tannehill, even the game that they won last game where Brady lost, he didn't really have a big game throwing the football. It was really about their running game and Derrick Henry and the clock. They only scored 13 points last game. I think Ryan Tannehill is a guy where he will crack when it comes. I mean, he's a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's a great one. He's a good quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback, but he's definitely a quarterback that will get throw interceptions, and he's bound to throw interceptions. And J.C. Jackson, you got to pay the guy. The Titans, obviously, the biggest 2 backbreaker drives of the Titans was the punch ball from J.C. Jackson, where it looked like it was 19-13 at the time in the third quarter, and Foreman had a long run thinking, oh man, looks like they're going to try to get to him, but Foreman had that long run thinking, oh man, here we go again. And I don't know if he could have went to the house kind of like Hilliard's, but I think he would have been kind of tackled down and they would have continued the drive. But J.C. Jackson made a great play, and Jalen Mills made a great play in terms of keeping the ball in bounds and able to kind of keep it there. And that was a big point at the time. And they were able to, I believe, get that ensuing possession, that touchdown from Kendrick Bourne, or the one right after. So the Titans were in it. I give them a lot of credit. They battled. But the Patriots at the end just took it, and I give them a lot of credit. That's what you got to do against straight-in team. It was kind of like they were hanging by a thread, though, like I guys just say, right there, they're hanging by a thread, and the Patriots like, listen, boom, 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 let's go up by a score or 2, let's finish it off, and that's what they did. So good win. I take away nothing away from this. Last night I thought they were going to win. I'm not saying about the score, but close enough, and I don't like the way that they played again. So hey. Number 2 seed. Let's keep it rolling.
Yes, let's keep it rolling here. Let's go to our comments section. So Nathaniel McCourt said, Ravens-Browns felt like a game of Uno, and all both teams were reversed cards in the deck. We're going to get to that in a moment, Nathaniel. We're going to talk about the Browns and the Ravens game in just a little bit. That's going to be one of the games on my list that I want to talk about today. Casey King also tunes in, and he also says, good evening, guys. And he also says, nice win for the Patriots, and they are looking really good. Justin Bosman is tuning in. Thanks for all the comments that you're leaving us. You're the real MVP of the show. But he did say, however, I'm going to pull up this comment. He said, the Titans lost fair and square, and that is something and that's something I agree with.
Exactly. Sorry to cut you off, Laura. They beat themselves fair and square. It comes down to turnover differential in a lot of these games. If you turn the ball over more than the Patriots, the last several weeks have been winning by playing good football, playing mostly clean football. I'm not saying every week, but in their big hot stretches they've been having. If you go into Foxborough in the last couple weeks here, like the Browns did a couple weeks ago with Baker Mayfield throwing that pick, Ryan Tannehill throwing a pick down the stretch where it was 3rd and 3, and you're thinking to yourself, Titans, you're down by, you think, 2 scores at the time, and you got to get about your hot running backs who were just gashing a lot of game. And they tried on 3rd down, they tried to run it, and then Tannehill decided to throw it, and I don't know where he was trying to throw to. I mean, if it got batted down, it would have been 4th down, so it would have been turnover on downs. and would have still been stopped inside the 1. But to get that pick there was even bigger. It was just okay. You know, that was that. You know, they just really had to find a way to get to Tannehill only threw for 93 yards. 4.4 yards average a pass. I think the first quarter he was like 8 of 8 or something. But I mean, yeah, he had Nick Westbrook, Ikine, Cody Hollister, former Patriot. He had McCole Pruitt, Des Fitzpatrick, Jeff Swain, Anthony Ferkshire, Chester Rogers. I mean, I gotta say that there's none of these guys are writing home to write home about, but still, they get paid. They're a professional football team. They're one of the top teams in the AFC. It doesn't matter who's out there. You got to take advantage. You got to execute. And Patriots do what they can to take care of business. And the Patriots are now 3-4 at home. Think yourself, oh, 3-4. But early on, they just stunk at home. They looked like they were lost. You remember, Lower, when teams are just coming to Foxborough and just think that oh, if it's no Brady anymore, it's just an easy one. Oh, the way Belichick's been handling things and he's doing the defense and the way the team's playing, nobody wants to come to Foxborough right now, and it feels great. I'm not saying it feels like the old days, but it feels close at this time where the crowd's just feeling at this time in terms of how the team's been doing. Just there's a certain vibe, and the players play with a lot of high confidence, and it just feeds week by week. Justin said Titans kickers suck. Yeah, like I said, Justin, between some field goals that they missed, the turnovers, their running game is pretty good. I'm not discrediting that, but look like Billy Conda. Um, Billy Conda brings back a lot of great memories. But speaking of that, but yeah, still, the Titans really just beat themselves. Period, and you just can't do that. I mean, if you're shorthanded as it is, Loro, if you beat yourself with 3 or 4 turnovers, and I was listening to a couple of the Titans guys post game, just curious in terms of what they said. They said they felt like they moved the football, but they just beat themselves. And the Patriots found a way to lose. That would be the way that they would have lost, is beating themselves. And Patriots have been playing clean football, complimentary football, and that's what we like to see from our team. And so we'll get a preview quickly, a little bit of this Buffalo Bills game, the first out of 2 matchups I'll be in the next couple weeks here. But Laura, let's get to our players of the game.
Well, we'll get to that on Tuesday for Lower on Friends for the Patriots. So,
I mean, I'll do my quick early players of the game. At least I'll have one, but I'm going to have 2 different runs on Tuesday. So keep in mind, I usually like to do 2. So my 1-on-1s for offense and defense for today, Mac Jones. I know Laura loves the Mac Jones each week and stuff, but I got to say, man, Mac Jones, 23 of 32 for 310 yards, his first 300-plus yard game. And like I said, Laura, the Titans' run defense is very stout. It is very good, but their pass defense is nothing nothing to write home about. And I thought that this was a game that Mac could have, if Josh let him air it out, and I think that Josh did a pretty good job today, actually, letting him air it out and kind of balancing the attack for a bit. Well, they didn't really run the football, so we kind of had to throw the ball a lot, but still, regardless, throwing off to his backs and Bolden and Stevenson and Harris, and then some crosses over the middle to Bourne or Myers with that great catch, that 20 to 40 yard bomb that Jones had there. People are like, oh, Mac can't throw deep. He only throws the checkdowns. Oh, man, the narrative. It just sweetens to me every single week in terms of the way Mac Jones could throw. He had a 73 QBR, which isn't horrible. But 9.7 yards average a pass, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And Mac Jones, Lauro, I think I wrote something today. As much as I did like him in terms of have him as a player and product of, he just wasn't the right system. Mac has already doubled him in terms of touchdown passes that Cam did all season, and I just think that the fit was a lot better, and I just think that that Bill made the right decision in terms of starting with Mac, in terms of kind of starting him this year and it's definitely really paying off right now, and it's been a great pleasure to see for sure.
All right, I'll give you a quick preview here. So I'm giving it to Mac Jones as my offensive player of the game, and then my defensive player of the game is J.C. Jackson. He was unbelievable tonight. And then you and I are both thinking alike with Nick Folk, and then you said that your defensive player of the game is.
Well, I was gonna go JC. I mean, JC made some big plays, but I gotta say Jalen Mills, man. Jalen Mills, I don't really. He really lost me a lot early on the season, but that fumble recovery he made. I know he made a kind of a boneheaded mistake he had last week, but he seems to be all over the place. The secondary and the pass defense has not been getting beat on big plays. The only really big play that they had was that running touchdown that Hilliard had, and I don't know what the heck. I think they just because it looked like the guy Hilliard just went right through. It's almost kind of like a little sliver, and he just kind of went through it and then just bounced the tackle and went to the house. They did this delayed draw a lot of the times. It was working great, and Patriots had a hard time with that today for some odd reason.
All right. So, anyways,
Judon had a good one too, Justin, and Brady had a tough one.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit here. So before we bring Isaiah on,
it was a playoff money game.
Before we bring Isaiah on, so what is your takeaways on Tom Brady having to come from behind victory against the Colts as a member of the Bucs? And I talked about it last week. I was expecting Tom Brady to get boos at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Well, I love Brady so to death because they asked Brady. I usually like to watch his post games, and one of the reporters is like, "Does it still feel great to beat the Indianapolis Colts?" And he said, in quote, "Oh, absolutely, it does. That is my quarterback. He knows that he's played the Colts in many, many battles, and they don't like him in Fox. From the Patriots side, from the Colts, and we obviously didn't like the Colts too. So that's still my quarterback. I still love him to this day, even though he's not on my team anymore. But that was a great answer from Tom. I love that. But no, this Colts team is legit. They're a great team. I actually had them up beating the Bucs, and I watched the end of that game today. I'm gonna go through that box score quickly. Like Justin said, Tom had a tough one. I did see that interception he threw. He's had kind of his interception problem the last couple weeks. Kind of last year, he kind of had the interception problems the first half of the season. Second half, he really, really turned it on. So hopefully, we'll see if Tom can really start turning things on. He usually does at this point in time, but it was the running game that really led their charge. The Indianapolis Colts had a hard time with the run defense, and Fournette was a big reason why they came back and won. Brady obviously had that drive at the end, chewing up clock, and no other quarterback we would trust in terms that 31-31. You got a 2-minute drill. Who am I going to? No other than Tom, without a doubt. Just be smart about it. And Tom, obviously, with Tom and clock management, I'm not saying it's second to none, but he's pretty close. I mean, outside of that fourth down that he had last year against the Bears, that was obviously the one that I say, listen, I can't hide about that. But that Colts team is really good, Lauro. They're going to be in the playoffs, I think, when it's all said and done. Carson Wentz, he had 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick. Actually, that last play, the last throw he had to Pittman to close it out, I feel a little more art to that ball. Pittman could have caught that, and who knows, it could have been a tie game. I mean, obviously, that kickoff return right after Fournette scored with 20 seconds left, you're thinking, oh, man, there could have been a shot where he could have even won out to the house. It was a great game, and, the Colts are a really dangerous team when it's all said and done. I'm not going to say after this game, the Colts should be ashamed of themselves the way that they shouldn't be in it anymore. No, they're a very good team, and they battled with the Super Bowl champs. So if I'm the Colts right there, I wouldn't be too upset about that.
Absolutely. I mean, Tom Brady knows this Colts team pretty well. Obviously, that's the team that accused him for Deflategate during his tenure with the Patriots back in 2015, and that the Patriots beat the Colts in that AFC title game with beach balls. That's what I can say. So, anyways, let's talk about the Rams and Packers game. I mean, I know Casey King, our loyal viewer, is going to want to hear us talk about that because I'm also a Rams fan too, since I'm from Los Angeles. But I'll tell you what, Aaron Rodgers was battling a toe injury, but we have something to show the audience here. Here we go. This little piggy lost in the NFC Championship game, and so did this one, and this one. He showed his 1 foot on the press conference, and I was like, why? Men's feet are gross, man.
Yeah, that obviously. I didn't want to see it, but no, with the way that Rodgers has been through the whole season in terms of off the field, nothing surprises me anymore. He seems very aloof on a lot of stuff, but as a quarterback, he's very, very special and talented. There's nothing I can deny. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch.
Obviously, Jane Slater posted a picture of the same picture of her feet on picture here. If you could take a look here. I mean, I was going to post it here, so I'll show you something here. So, this is making the audience laugh here. So, this is Jane Slater right here.
I can see it a little bit. Yeah.
Because that's Jane Slater when she was a blondie, and then that's Aaron Rodgers right there too.
Gotcha.
And I was like, why would he do that for some odd reason? I mean, he had a sprained toe against the Vikings. But anyways, the Green Bay Packers, however, they played a good football game. I could say that. Aaron Rodgers had a really good football game. The Rams, they're just falling downhill a little bit, but I want to see them bounce back against the Jaguars too. So if you look at this game, Ben, the Rams, they kept up, but they just did not get it done in the frozen tundra.
Yeah. And before we get going our conversation about this, what's going on, Isaiah? Isaiah Leon just joined, our good friend of ours. And obviously we'll talk about his Niners in a bit too. Of course, they're rolling, and I know Isaiah's very, very pumped about that. But remember, after the first week in terms of the Packers, when they were getting blown out, I'm just going to be like, I'll come back to this, and I'll probably be like, why is everybody panicking? It's overreaction. Now, since then, they are 9-3. They're 5-0 at home. They're arguably at least a top 3 team in the NFC. They just beat the Seahawks and the Rams back-to-back weeks in their own place. Stafford has been very off the last couple of weeks, but the Rams as a whole team are still a very good team. They're 4-2 on the road. They're 7-4 now, record-wise. The biggest lane was turnovers, and the turnover that Matt Stafford had was a pick six. He's now had 3 pick sixes in 3 consecutive weeks. He had a pick six this week tonight against the Packers. Last week against the Niners, he had a pick six, and then the week before that, I believe, was the Titans, and they lost that. Matt Stafford and his wife have issues. Yeah, that's a story for another day, but that was quite interesting. I don't know if you hear about that, Laurel.
What's that?
So, Matt Stafford, when they lost to the Niners, actually, the game that Isaiah was at, there were reports out there that I had to read that some person was talking, I don't know, some random talking smack about Stafford and the way that he was performing or whatever against the Niners. And his Stafford's wife, and this was uncalled for. I mean, she apologized and stuff on social media. She lost her cool for sure, but she threw a pretzel at a fan, and they had to escort her. The staff or whatever from the Niners or whatever had to escort her. And essentially, Matt Stafford said to his wife that you can't come back to any more games. The way it kind of happened, though, was Matt Stafford's actually kind of joking after the fact of the game, saying she actually threw much better than I did the whole entire game in terms of that pretzel. So, I mean, it seems like obviously, that probably won't affect him very much. Obviously, that the whole kind of side story. She's not a person like that. She's been through a lot, and But obviously, at the time, I think she really just lost it in the moment, and then that happens. But
Yeah,
in
I
terms of
mean,
going,
I think that happens here, but I think the Rams. I do expect them to win against Jacksonville, though. They're back home, and they should. And I still expect them to make the playoffs, though.
yeah, like I said, man, we'll have to see.
So you thought overall the Packers played a good football game, and you know that their schedule's going to be
Yeah,
easy.
yeah, and somebody said here, Justin said they've had an easy schedule. To be fair, Justin, I have to see really more of their schedule down the stretch. They maybe have been winning some easier opponents, but the Rams are a pretty good team. Uh, they lost to Kansas City, but that was without Rodgers. If Rodgers was out there, they would have won. Their offensive line today was excellent. AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones is a great back, and AJ Dillon's done a great job taking care of the duties now with him out. They're right in that Minnesota game last week. It just came down to the ends. Yeah, the Vikings had the ball, and it could have been the Packers had the ball. The referee obviously it was the interception that wasn't, and if the Packers got the interception, they probably would have won that game. Rodgers probably would have went down and probably would have won it, but it was a great game regardless. So so they actually have a bye week coming up this week. The Packers do, but then after they got Chicago, they should win that. At Baltimore,
that's gonna be hard.
It's gonna be, but you see that the Ravens are kind of just that team is just back and forth. I mean, I'll talk more about the Ravens, but that Browns Ravens game tonight, oof, man, that was hard to watch, and that was a game I was really excited to see. That was a hard one to watch. And then you got the Browns, which they've had a hard time watching them as of late, and then Vikings were kind of on and off, and then the Lions. I think that they win the Vikings and the Lions game the last 2 weeks. So they should have a good spot in the playoffs. But yeah, what other games do you want to get into?
Let's talk about for Isaiah, since he's kind of wanting us to talk about the Niners, because you and I both love Jimmy Garoppolo. But I want to play the Isaiah hype, 49ers hype, and Isaiah goes gonkum. So this is for you, Isaiah, with the Niners beating the Minnesota Vikings. And our producer Stephen Wang is a Vikings fan who was at the game today, and he is a diehard Vikings fan because he's from Minnesota. So here is the 49ers. Here's the Isaiah Jinx video for the Vikings.
Vikings, goodbye, sayonara, baby.
And here's another one.
Woo! Woo! How about them Niners, baby? Turn it up, DJ. Turn it up. Turn it up. Come on, turn it up, DJ. Woo! That's right, Jay-Z. Guess who's back? The Niners are back. We back.
All right, so Isaiah's thoughts on this game was it was a great win, and he said the offense preserved. Elijah Mitchell might be a top 10 back in the NFL at the start of next season, and the defense wasn't perfect, but they were good when they needed them. But unfortunately, Debo, Fred Warner, Greenlaw got injured. Those are 3 important pieces to the 49ers championship puzzle. And hope is nothing major here. So the Niners, everybody thought this. Are they going to be tanking so that you get to see what Trey Lance is all about? I'm kind of anxious to turn the page from Jimmy Garoppolo to Trey Lance. So that's what I kind of wanted to read here. But here's my take on the 49ers. They are a good football team when they are 100% healthy. They make the AFC West very interesting and all that. But this was a really, really good win for the 49ers today against Stephen Wang's Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, since the 31st of October. Well, before they lost to the Colts, so they were 2-4. And I asked Isaiah. I remember we were asking Isaiah. I said, Isaiah, I asked him a couple questions in terms of how could the Niners really turn things around? Because realistically, they could turn things around if they stay healthy, if they have a good running game, their defense kind of turns things around. Since I've asked them that, they've only lost once. They've won their last 4 out of 5 games. They've scored in the high 30s in every single game. The game that they lost, they lost to the Cardinals. I mean, that was probably that was an embarrassing loss, but still. I know that they beat Jacksonville, and you say it's easy, but you going across from the West Coast to East Coast is not always easy, despite the opponent. You beat the Rams on Monday Night Football the week before. They've won their last 2 home games, where at the time early on the season, they didn't win any games, and so they're definitely. If the playoffs ended today, they would be in it. They would be in it. They would be in, I think, 7th or either 7th or 8th seed. I have to kind of go back. Maybe a 9th. They're running that kind of mix. But heck, I'll give a lot of credit for them. Isaiah should be pumped. Because realistically, that Seahawks team has been a mess. I mean, I love Russ, but Russ has been an absolute mess since he's been back from a finger injury. We'll see if that still affects him tomorrow night against Washington. But he hasn't looked. The defense and stuff. They've been on and off for that team. They're kind of unraveling. Wash want to say that today. They have it going tomorrow night, but still. And then the Cardinals. I don't know what their situation is right now. I mean, they're still a good team, but they obviously have to get all their top guys healthy with Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins and stuff like that. So we got to see if they can get back on track. And then the Rams are kind of on and off right now. It really depends in terms of Stafford. And my buddy actually texted me after that game, too, in terms of Sean McVay hasn't been himself lately, too, which I thought was very interesting. That was another thing I wanted to keep an eye on. So the Niners are in it. The Niners actually coming up soon. So they got – I think Isaiah said last week. They got at Seattle, and I think they could win that game. I really think that they can. Then they're at Cincinnati. I'll tell you what, Cincinnati is a dangerous team. They're a sleeper team. Do not sleep on Cincinnati. So that could be a win or loss. But still, after them, they have versus Atlanta, at Tennessee on a short week. I think that they could beat Tennessee. I think they could win that game. If their Titans are shorthanded, I think that they won that game. And then Houston and then the Rams. The Niners will be a wild card team.
We'll see. I mean,
I think they will be in the playoffs.
Anything can really happen here. So, anyways, now let's talk about now the Sunday night game. We'll dive deep into that, as Nathaniel was saying that it was like checkers between the Browns and the Browns and the Ravens. And Lamar Jackson didn't even play himself the other day, but he wasn't looking good today. But at the same time, I thought that the Ravens played really well, but I think that their schedule is going to probably get harder. And I think that defenses are going to adjust and get to Lamar Jackson. But for the Browns, I thought Baker played much better. But at the same time, Cleveland lost. So I think Cleveland will win their next game, which we'll get to in just a little bit here.
Yeah, that game's not low, if pardon my language, but it was a shit show. It was, the AFC North as a whole, the Steelers, I think, are a little bit overrated. They got exposed against – the Chargers are a good offense. That was one of the games of the year last week. But then they had a stinker today against one of their rival foes, against Cincinnati. They're very – I just don't know about Pittsburgh. They could make it. They're always going to end that mix, but I don't know really how much I have confidence in them. Cleveland, they're trending downward, man. And you know, they had all their guys healthy tonight too, Laurel. It's not like, Chubb came back, Hunt was back, they had Landry, they had Hooper, and they only scored 10 points. And Lamar threw 4 interceptions. 4. So their defense stood on their head the whole entire game. And as a Pats fan, of course, I was rooting for Cleveland because if Cleveland won, then the Pats would have taken first seed. Well, obviously, it didn't turn out to be that way. Obviously, I can't complain too much right now as a Pats fan. But the game was so frustrating as a Pats fan just to watch that because you're like, if Cleveland just made some of those interceptions into touchdowns or even field goals, you still won that game. The Ravens didn't even play that great. The Browns were just worse. It's simple as that. And Justin had a comment about Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield's all done. He could be going somewhere this offseason. Do I say maybe his shoulder's having some problems the last couple of weeks and he's playing hurt? Sure. But I don't know about Baker, man. And people were saying, "Oh, it was Odell's fault." Baker's he's like Tannehill in a way. He's kind of in the middle of the pack, but he has so many guys around him, and I don't know about him. He's like, between him and Stafford and Tannehill, they're kind of all in that middle where just like they show so many good flashes in different weeks, then you're just like, they'll turn into a pumpkin when it comes to crunch time or a great opponent. Lamar Jackson's overrated. Well, the biggest thing about Lamar, Justin, is he's shown a lot better flashes this year with his passing game, but he's coming back to earth in terms of what we saw a lot of last year Lamar Jackson, where a lot of defenses, really good defense specifically, forced him to not do what he is at best with, and has the speed in the running game. And you try to force him playing press man on their receivers and make him try to throw the ball around every single place. And yes, he's doing a lot better throwing the football, but he was off. And he said after the game, he didn't even want to talk about how bad it was. And I give Lamar a lot of props for that because a lot of quarterbacks should be like, yeah, move on. But he took that to heart, and that obviously says a lot in terms of my respect for Lamar because I think that Lamar, when he's on, is a very explosive, dynamic player. Really so hard to guard, but this game was not about the quarterbacks. It was about both defenses and who would kind of just have the ball last and make a play here or there, and the Ravens won. As a Pats fan myself, Laura, does each team really scare me at this moment? Browns, no. We already beat the Browns. We beat them pretty convincingly at home. If we had a home game against them, I think we beat them again. Ravens, we beat the Ravens last year. I know it was I know it's with Cam and the elements and stuff, but regardless, we face the Ravens next year at home on our schedule. Do they worry me now? The playoffs, Lamar in the playoffs, do they scare me? The running attack, no. So it was a good game. It was a. My buddy said it nicely, Laurel. That Browns Ravens game is a high comedy show of just who would fold at the end. And that was that.
All right. So, anyways, now we'll talk about Monday Night Football. So, quick picks here. So, I am going to say here that I'm going to pick the Seattle Seahawks to beat the Washington Football Team tomorrow night.
You know what? Give me Heineke. Give me the Heineken. I think that they're playing great football. You lose Chase Young, but they the last couple of weeks, I think Rivera's done a pretty good job of that defense. Gibson's been great in the running game. They have McLaurin, who's a very explosive, underrated guy. He's a great receiver. Logan Thomas is a really good tight end. A lot of people don't give a lot of credit for. So they have some playmakers on there. And Russ is just, I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, can he turn on? Could this be his breakthrough game? Sure. Monday Night Football, prime time. I had to get my first yawn of the night. Not a surprise there, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good one. That should be an interesting game. I think Washington wins. I think they'll score like 17. I think Russ will throw 2 touchdowns. I think he'll play better, but I still think there's going to be a lot of work for him to do. But I'm going to go 24 to 21. I think it'll come down to a final drive, and Heineken will do it.
All right. So now on to our Week 13 games. So Thursday Night Football. Quickly here, I got the Dallas Cowboys beating the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, Cowboys are playing Thursday night again. Wow, they usually, never really get a back-to-back team playing Thursday nights. It's kind of interesting. Dallas, their defense, man, it really was bad last week. Really, really bad. Where is it in New Orleans?
Yes, it's going to be in New Orleans.
Okay. I just don't trust the quarterback. I don't trust Simeon. Unless they get Kamara and they get their running game back, I'm going to go Dallas. And I think it's going to be a really ugly game because there's going to be not a lot of defense. I want the Saints to win. I don't really like Dallas. And I like Kamara a lot, but I'm going to go Dallas.
Yeah, we both have Dallas in this one as well. So, anyways, let's go to the Sunday games. So let's start with Chargers, Bengals, Herbert versus Burrow. But I'm going to go Herbert in this one.
Chargers, say again? Sorry.
Chargers, Bengals.
You know what? Battle of the young guys. Herbert Burrow. That's going to be an awesome game. I'm going to go Burrow. I think if it was in LA, I'm going to go Herbert. But I think since he really impressed me, they've had really good breakout games. Obviously they were one of the hottest teams kind of in that early mid part of the season. They've kind of came back a little bit, but they had a really good showing. I think they have another back-to-back showing against the Chargers coming up.
Was that what were you saying again?
I think the Bengals have another good game after that they had today. But I think Herbert will play good.
All right. So, anyways, now let's talk about the Dolphins and the Giants. Talk about the Dolphins getting really hot at the right time. They're cooking right now, and I think they're a team that still is going to make it to the playoffs. And I'm going to go with Tua and the Dolphins to beat the Giants.
You know what? I hope the Giants win. I don't mind. I don't hate the Giants. They're kind of just there.
But, well, talk about this. It's Joe Judge and Brian Flores going head to head.
Yeah, that should be an interesting game. Yeah, I'm gonna go Dolphins. Lower, you kind of beat me to the argument. For a while I thought the Dolphins were just done, and that game against Baltimore. They after that Bills game, they've knocked off some interesting wins here. They beat Houston, which is we thought at the time, but then they beat Baltimore, a really good game, and then they beat the Jets, kind of the Jets, but still got with a team that's really trying to stack off wins. They did that, and now they're 5-7. They're 3-3. They had a good one. They had a good win today too, beating out Cam, which as a Cam fan myself, he is done. Shut him down. What I saw today from him, I think it says it all that he got benched in the fourth. I think he should have been done after this off season, but he's had some moments. He has some decent mechanics. His mechanics are all over the place, but I think it's more of his accuracy. He just he had some decent throws today. I didn't watch the whole game, but 5 of 29. Come on, man. That's not quarterback. Just what Mac Jones is able to do today, it's just oh man, we could have. We definitely caught a break there.
But, all right. So, anyways,
the game. I was gonna say, yeah, Chargers Bengals. Gonna go Bengals. Let's kind of do like the picks a little bit quicker. So I'll ask you, Bucks and Falcons. Who are gonna go?
Bucks, Falcons. I'm going with Tampa Bay.
I'm gonna go Tampa too. Falcons beat Jacksonville, but Jacksonville is just even worse than they are. I still don't have a lot of trust in the Falcons, but the Falcons played. Cam should work at McDonald's. Well, maybe at this point in time, he had a pretty decent career as an NFL starter. But yeah, at the time he's just all done. It's gonna be sad, because I really liked him. I'm gonna go Bucks too. Brady against the Falcons. There's just always that it factor with Brady against them. He just always seems to take it personally with them, which is absolutely love. I think Fournette has another big game coming up too. The Falcons are terrible against the run. I think Fournette has a couple scores. Give me the Bucks in that one. Let's go to Cardinals Bears. Cardinals. Let's see. 7.5 line. Arizona. Yeah, give me the Cardinals in this game. I'm not sure if Fields will be back. I'm not sure if Kyler will be back. So if that's the case, Loro, I still would take Colt McCoy over Andy Dalton. So give me the Cardinals.
I'm with you. I'm going with the Cardinals too. What about the Jets and Eagles? I'm going with Philadelphia for sure.
You know what? Call me crazy. I am going with the Jets. The Eagles are just, I don't know. I mean, the Giants aren't very good. I mean, and they really struggled today against the Giants. I give Giants credit, but I don't know. I'm going to go upset here. I think the Jets always seem to kind of play with a kind of upset type of feeling a lot of these type of games. Give me the Jets in this one. Colts, Texans?
Easy. Colts.
That's Colts. Yeah. Unless Carson Wentz turns into Carson Wentz passing wise, in terms of just a lot of picks, which he's had prone to in the past. But just give the ball to Jonathan Taylor. Just let it run. He's been on a roll lately. Just let him. And then, your defense has played decent. You're playing against Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor, I mean, let's be real. He's a good, serviceable quarterback. He's nothing special. He's just a quarterback. I mean, I shouldn't be that cruel with him, but he obviously is in a situation where he's not too successful to have him win there. So yeah, give me the Colts. Washington at the Raiders. Ooh. I'm gonna go Raiders.
I'm going with Raiders too. And then you can call me crazy here. I'm going to say the Detroit Lions finally get win number 1 against the Vikings.
I just cannot trust the Lions. I just can't. So I'm gonna go Vikings. I think the Vikings keep it going. Keep the train of the Lions fans with the paper bags on their heads for another week. So with that being said, Jags Rams, that shouldn't be the Jags. If the Jags beat the Rams are officially fraudulent. I mean, there's been out there talks of are the Rams fraudulent? If you lose the Jacksonville Jaguars, but hey, look, we said the Bills. Well, after they lost the Jags were fraudulent. Could they still be fraudulent, the Bills? They're a good team. The Pats and myself, they're a team that, depending on how we play them 2 games against them in the next couple of weeks, I still think we split. I still think they're a very good team. But give me the Rams over the Jags, right, Laura?
Yes, Rams over the Jags. That's for sure here.
And then we got some really good games the rest of the weekend. Ravens at Steelers. This is going to be a huge one. This is going to be kind of like the Browns-Ravens in terms of just a really good rivalry. Hopefully it's a better game, though, because this could be a really good game. Especially, the place buzzing in Pittsburgh. Ravens-Steelers, and then go Pittsburgh.
I'm going with Baltimore. I don't trust Big Ben Roethlisberger. I just think that Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback here. So, 49ers, Seahawks.
I like the defense of Pittsburgh.
Give me Seattle.
Seahawks and who? Niners?
Yes.
Isaiah, Niners are going to win. I just had to say that out there. Yeah. I think that Seahawks have just been way too consistent, especially at home. They've 1-4 at home. Give me the Niners going in and pound the rock. This is an interesting matchup. AFC West matchup. Yeah.
Oh, let's say this: is Vic Fangio not on the hot seat? Yeah.
Hey, I mean, we haven't really heard his name in the last couple weeks, so I mean, he's doing something right.
He is doing something right, finally.
Broncos, Chiefs. Gonna go Chiefs. The Chiefs have been playing a little bit better here the last couple weeks here. I think they have a pretty big game against their familiar. They usually play very good against Denver, but Denver today had some turnovers. They turned the ball over to Mahomes. Mahomes is prone this year to have some turnovers. The only way that they'll probably win is some turnovers because their quarterback game, Bridgewater, he's okay.
Clock manager. He's a really good clock manager.
Game manager, yeah.
Very good game manager.
And don't get me started with Drew Lock. I mean, sick. I'm still sick in the fact that we lost to Drew Lock last year. The guy that had the most interceptions out of anybody last year in football. But that's another story for another day. Give me the Chiefs over the Broncos. And, of course, the game that we're all loving here in New England, the game that we want to talk about the most. Our beloved 8-4, 5-0 on the road Patriots taking on the 7-4, 3-2, coming off their win against the Saints. Buffalo Bills. Loro, who do you got?
I got the Patriots winning this game. I think they're going to continue their road dominance here. But I think at the same time, I just think that the Bills, they're good, but they're kind of taking a bit of a step back from what I've noticed. But I really think that the Patriots are back. They're playing much better. And I just think that the Patriots somehow are going to find a way to still win this football game, but I think it's going to be a relatively close football game. I'm very excited for next Monday already. I just want to enjoy this win against Tennessee, but I'm focused on Buffalo, and I think Mac Jones is going to beat Bills Mafia, and it's going to be a really, really good game. I'm doing the game on Colorcast next Monday, so I'm looking forward to calling that.
There you go. Well, we can enjoy a lot of the Thursday and Sunday slated games, and obviously have the big game that we have Monday night. Definitely show the world what we're all about. But don't kill me, guys, for this one. Justin and joining. I'm gonna go take Buffalo, and I know it's tough for me to say, but I think it's gonna be a close one. I think we're gonna play well. Going to Buffalo on a Monday night. I don't know what it's about.
It might be. I checked the weather forecast. It might be a little bit snowy there.
I don't know what it is about that one. I hope I'm wrong. I want to pull some reverse psychology. This could be an old takes exposed type of thing, but I'm gonna go Buffalo. I don't want to say it. Hopefully they win. Hopefully the Pats win and go to what? 8-4.
Maybe go 8-4. We want to go 8-4.
Hey. If they find a way, if they play hard, they lose. I'm not going to say here, oh, man, they're all done. They lost to Buffalo. I think they're going to split. I think they're going to win at Foxborough. They're going to have a tough one in Buffalo, go to the bye next week, and then respond the following week. I don't know who they have next week. But this – and during their schedule before the year, I had this one, unfortunately, as my L. So I'm going to have to stay true to my word, despite how much I love my Patriots right now and how they've been playing. I'm going to have to go with the final. The Patriots have scored a lot of points the last couple weeks. $31-28.
I think it might be higher than that, but I think the Patriots win on a field goal, 34-31 in Orchard Park.
Yeah, I think they'll tough. I think because the Bills have a lot of good weapons, and Allen if Allen turns into a big pumpkin, which he has had in the past, we've seen him against the Pats a couple of years where he just crumbled. I hope you get that, Josh Allen. Hopefully, we don't get the Allen of last year where he's throwing darts everywhere and making it. I give him a lot of credit where credit's due in terms of where he's been able to really trend his career. Kind of, I'm not saying in that Mahomes level, but close. He's kind of up closer to that Mahomes level in terms of this. He has a lot of talent, hard runner. I've seen Josh Allen live. Can make a lot of good throws, also a lot of bad throws, and has a cannon of an arm. He finds somebody downfield deep, he will let it out. He won't be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's on him. And you know who's great against Josh Allen, Lauro?
Who?
Mr. INT, J.C. Jackson. He shreds in terms of Allen. A lot of his balls, he will find a way to get them. Him and McCourty in that secondary. The secondary against Allen last couple years. Last year Allen was playing out of his mind, and the defense obviously, with all the reinforcements, I think that they got so much better this year. I'm not saying their defense was terrible last year against him, but I was obviously really in a lost season. But
All right. So, anyways,
Buffalo, unfortunately, will take this one. Hopefully, I'm wrong.
all right. So, anyways, we'll take a look at our quick playoff picture here in the AFC. You got the division leader, so Ravens, the Patriots, the Titans, and Chiefs, with the Bengals, the Bills, and the Chargers holding the wild card right now. And in the hunt are the Raiders, the Browns, the Broncos, the Colts, and the Steelers. NFC, Cardinals 1 seed, Packers 2 seed. The 3 seed is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The 4 seed is the Dallas Cowboys. The 5 seed is the LA Rams. The 49ers and Vikings are 6 and 7. And the Falcons and the Saints and the Eagles and the Panthers, Washington, Giants, and Bears are still in the hunt.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. So
you got pretty far down there. Let's just do the top. Let's just do like the top 10.
yeah, I just had to do that. I mean, just to talk about that. But
Sure. Well, I'll kind of do my quick, before we probably finish off the show here. My take in terms of the standings and where things kind of stand. This is the fun time of football. December football. Well, we're close, if not now. But this could be one of the craziest NFL seasons ever. And I'm not saying that just to say it. You got so many. It's one of also, besides it being one of the most fun NFL seasons ever, it's one of the most unpredicted season I think I've ever seen. Just because there's so many great teams out there that you're like, oh my God, like what's going on with them? And then you see other games, you're like, oh, that's that team we know. And the other times you'll be like, wow. So it's not like we've seen a team be like, yeah, they've just been steady the whole way through, just killing it week by week. I mean, I guess you could say the Pats, the kind of the run that they've had, and maybe some of the teams here and there. But you haven't really seen that big, long stretch of Kansas City. The last couple of years of just killing it, pushing through everything like that. But and as I'm still talking, look who decided to join. Our good old friend Isaiah. Isaiah, before I finish here, we'll get to you in terms of your 49ers. Obviously, you come in live from Levi.
Well, I just got home. I'm not at Levi's right now. But thanks.
Well, before you got home, you obviously get your reaction of how you felt at Levi and everything like that. But the playoff picture, before we get to bring the keys over to Isaiah in terms of what he wants to say, I guess you could say. The Patriots, of course, are the 2 seed. Our team is in pretty good spots right now. The Ravens obviously are 8-3, but as I said a little earlier, Isaiah, the Ravens are just – I don't know what's about them. I just don't know if Lamar Jackson, the last several seasons, when the game is on the line, do I trust him with that big late game throw? That's what you're going to have to do in the playoffs with a quarterback. Late game throw, what does he have? They're a run-heavy team for a reason, so we have to see about them. The Titans, depending on if their big guys come back, Henry, Jones, A.J. Brown. I know A.J. Brown's going to be out for a couple weeks. That's obviously a team monitored. They'll be in the hunt, but I don't know if I'll take them seriously down the stretch here. Kansas City, they're probably the most dangerous team as of this point. They're really starting to turn things around. They'll be within the reach top 3. Cincy, a team to look out for. Same with Buffalo, who will be our opponent on Monday night. And then you got the Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos kind of in the mix. And, Colts and Pittsburgh. As much as Cleveland really struggled, Cleveland's still in that mix too. So, as Lauro said, all the teams still down there, like Miami, who's 5-7. I don't know if you said the Jets were at 3-8, but that was the next one after. So obviously I had to kind of call you off there, but we got pretty far in the AFC. Let's quickly go to the NFC. The NFC's been a lot of fun too. I think Arizona, Green Bay, Tampa, Dallas will still be in it. Dallas is a very bad defense, though. I won't talk about that right now with them. The Rams, they've been really falling. It depends in terms of Stafford's inconsistencies. And the 49ers, the team that's coming up, the team that is Isaiah's feeling some type of way with them. As we actually had the video before he came with me and Lower had the video of the Vikings with Isaiah screaming last week. So obviously that was great. And then you saw the Falcons, the Saints kind of still within the 5-6 record wise. And obviously you have the Vikings, who are the 7th seed actually as of right now, despite 5-6. So that's kind of it all. I hope I made it really, really short and sweet. That's kind of my playoff analysis right now. So let's go to Isaiah in terms of how he's feeling. So Isaiah, how are you doing?
Wow, man. First of all, I'm tired because I worked like a long 8-hour shift at the Levi Stadium. But it was fun, though. It was really, really fun at Levi Stadium. I saw a lot of Vikings fans, and for some reason today they were at the guest services booth that we have at Levi Stadium. I actually got a couple of boxes of tissues, and I had a couple of friends that were going to the game, and I think Loro and Ben, you guys know one of them, my guy Stephen Wang, who is the producer of this network. He's a big Vikings fan. So I told him I had a gift for him. And my gift for him was a box of tissues, because I told him, hey, man, you can use it to, wipe your tears when the 49ers end up beating your Minnesota Vikings. And sure enough, they did, which was an amazing game. But, before I get into like the playoff picture, I'll just, do a quick recap of the Niner game. I mean, it was a great game because I thought early on that the Niners were going to lose, especially early on, because the first drive they got Minnesota to have a 3-and-out. That was great. It was a great start. But then when the Niners came up for their first possession of the ball game, Jimmy Garoppolo threw a pick. He threw a pick right to, I believe it was Eric Kendricks or Anthony Barr. I forgot the guy's name. But he throws the pick, and Minnesota gets the ball in real good field position. And then Kirk Cousins leads the Vikings down the field to Adam Thielen for a touchdown, and it's right there. It's 7-0, and all the momentum swings to Minnesota at that point. And then the Niners, on their next drive, I believe they went 3-and-out, so I was really scared at that point. I was like, oh my gosh, it's 7-0. Minnesota is driving on our defense. The Niners offense can't really do anything. This might be like the Arizona game where the Niners just get off to a really bad start in a game that they really need, and they just can't recover from it. But luckily, I think what really changed the game was, I believe, when Minnesota got the football back, I believe Kirk Cousins got sacked. He got sacked, and then the 49ers were able to get the ball as the Vikings punted it. The 49ers were able to get the ball, I believe, in Vikings territory or at the 49ers, like 49-yard line or something like that. But it was really good field position. And then, they got a touchdown that really helped. And then the defense, I think, settled down. The offense settled down as well. Jimmy Garoppolo played really good football after throwing that pick. But I think the biggest story of this game was the running game. I said a couple of weeks ago when the Niners were 3-5 at that time, that this team just really didn't know its identity. Sometimes it was really pass happy, sometimes it was really run happy, and they were really struggling to find what this team was really about and what their identity was. And I think there's something clicked in that Rams game, and they really have found their identity, and that is like running the football heavily, chewing up clock, and playing good, not great defense like they did in 2019, but playing good enough defense to win ball games. And that's what they've been doing these last 3 games. That's why they've been winning the last 3 games. So I think that was really good to see by the 49ers. Good to see the run game get going. Good to see Elijah Mitchell get going after he broke his finger, I believe, a couple of games ago. But I think what's really worrisome for the 49ers is the injury bug just keeps hampering them. Like today, the Niners had three very important players leave the game and did not return because of injury. Deebo Samuel, he had like a hamstring, or not a hamstring, he had like I believe he had a groin injury, and Kyle Shanahan said he will go through an MRI tomorrow to know the extent of the severity of that injury. You know, if we're talking about like a severe injury, and let's say, because he was shown entering the blue medical tent in tears. So I'm really hoping that it's not a severe injury, because if it is, then this is really going to compromise the 49ers, and it's going to be a big blow to them, because Deebo Samuel is a game changer, and he's a massive offensive weapon for the 49ers. And then the other injuries were Fred Warner, the all-pro middle linebacker for the Niners. He had like a hamstring injury, and Ben and Loro, you guys know how tough hamstring injuries are to shake off. So we'll see how severe that is. And then Greenlaw, the linebacker, another linebacker, also got hurt. I think he had like a groin or a quad, but it was his first game back from another injury, and now he's gone again. So those 3 guys are very important to the Niners' success. And if all 3 of them are missing when the Niners play Seattle next week, I don't know how the Niners are really going to replace them, because they're really irreplaceable. And then if you lose them for like a good chunk of the season, then it's going to be worrisome in terms of the playoff push.
Absolutely, Isaiah. I mean, I think that the Niners could definitely do it, but we're about to wrap up on our program here with some final thoughts. Isaiah, thanks for hopping on, man, but you'll be on next week for the full program, though.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Thank goodness I don't have to work next week. Since
the Niners are going to be on the road.
Yep, in Seattle, man. It's going to be a great game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Ben, what are your final thoughts?
Patriots are still rolling. Isaiah's team's still rolling. We're all probably feeling really good right now. Love to see it. And we got a lot of comments from our people here. Obviously, our MVP, Justin. Christy's one of our MVPs as well. She joined tonight. Thanks for joining, Christy. And then Isaiah had his what's up earlier. And then Casey King. He's always coming in. Thanks, Casey, for joining. Hope I didn't miss anybody. It looks like, every other one was Justin spamming us. But that's okay, because Justin's the man. Thoughts on Lincoln Riley going to USC? Oh, I'll definitely say my thoughts another time about that. Because, man, that was definitely a big one. But, yeah, final thoughts overall today. Great show. Isaiah obviously coming on late, but obviously great to hear his insight about the game from Levi. Lauro, any other things you have to say? I'm all set.
All right, we're all set here, folks. Right. So that's going to do it for Extra Point. I hope everybody has had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. Isaiah and myself and Ace, Adam Barber, will be back tomorrow on Wild Sports Talk. And looking forward to a really good show tomorrow. We'll be talking about some of the latest free agent signees in baseball right now. And then we'll talk about Monday Night Football with Washington and the Washington football team taking on Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. NBA talk coming up about if the Lakers can find a way to turn it around in December and start to string together some wins. And we'll go from there. So for our producers.
Lincoln Riley, Lauro. Don't forget about Lincoln Riley.
Also, we will be discussing how we feel about Lincoln Riley coaching the USC Trojans football program. And I think it's already a good move. And I think USC is going to be really, really good next year. And I think in a heartbeat, Lincoln Riley will turn around that program. So that's going to do it for the Extra Point. For our producer, Stephen Wang, Isaiah Leong, thanks for coming on briefly. Ben Kearse, my Patriots fan, and Lauro, myself, the quarterback of the show, signing off for now. And we will talk to you next Sunday on the Extra Point, and I'll also see everybody tomorrow on Wild Sports Talk.
choose the game chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophies. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep. I ain't choose the game chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophies. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep.
I got what it take to be a champ. You know bars life, you should come and join the camp. Title after title, put my rivals off the map. Thought you had the trophy till I came in for the snatch. I was born in it, not sworn in it. I ain't come to play, my wrist mean all business. Running like a mimic, check my jersey, authentic. In Oakland with some Raiders to my haters.